7 years ago, on a sun-drenched afternoon in Ipanema, a college kid named Hudson walked into a beachfront arcade, fed a coin into a vintage cabinet, and, completely by accident, set a new high score. He celebrated by eating a pastel, forgot the whole thing by dinner, and never thought about it again. Present day. Hudson is mid-sentence on the Ipanema boardwalk, telling a story about something entirely unrelated, when he simply isn't there anymore. His glasses sit on the mosaic tiles. A folded note beside them bleeds iridescent ink into the evening air. The rematch is overdue. Within 2 hours, all 12 of them have crammed into the safe house. Maps unroll across every surface. Screens flicker on. Cats drape themselves over whatever equipment remains. Erica stands at the center of it all, pins a photograph to the board, and taps it twice. The photo shows a tall woman with flowing red hair and a coat trimmed in black and gold, mid-gesture on what appears to be a volcanic outcropping. Jackie, Erica says. Brazilian supervillain. Theatrical. Obsessive. And apparently very, very bad at letting go of arcade scores. Jameson's camera is already rolling. He pans across the room. Julian striking a theatrical pose. Sanskriti studying the photo through binoculars at close range for some reason. Dave rummaging through a vest pocket and producing a granola bar instead of the gadget he wanted. Mert raises his hand slowly. Is this going to be dangerous? The room continues in exactly the same way it was going. Drea and Giselle are already measuring each other for overalls. Kibben is sharpening a pencil. Nobody answers Mert. Mert lowers his hand. Erica lays out the SAHUR protocol on the table. A full infiltration packaged as a minion supply delivery. It is 17 pages long. She summarizes it in 90 seconds. Davis, already seated, is 40 minutes into forging 12 sets of minion credentials and a complete delivery manifest, and he hasn't looked up once. Question, Mert says. The Volcano, is it active? Davis slides a finished credential card across the table without looking up. It has plasma turrets, he says. Active is relative. He stamps another document. Mert stares at the credential card that now has his own face on it above the name Minion 7. Dave unveils the gadget haul on the kitchen table with the energy of a man presenting at a trade show. Half the devices work flawlessly. A third sort of work if you hold them at an angle. And one, before Dave can even describe its function, fires a grappling hook directly into the ceiling with a sound like a gunshot. Everyone looks at the grappling hook in the ceiling. The grappling hook offers no explanation. Orpheus opens one eye from his position on the printer, judges the situation, and closes it again. We're keeping it, Dave says, and moves on. Daniela sits cross-legged surrounded by transcripts of intercepted minion radio chatter. Pages and pages of what appears to be complete nonsense. She looks up with the expression of someone who has just solved something everyone else missed. It's not gibberish, she says. It has grammar. Past tense. Conditional clauses. They're negotiating shift schedules. Drea and Giselle return an hour later rolling a clothing rack loaded with 12 minion costumes. Yellow overalls, goggles, and boots in descending sizes. We also got 3 cat carriers, Giselle adds. Drea finishes the sentence. The cats are already in them. The room goes quiet. They just walked in? Julian asks. Yes, says Giselle. The cats have never done anything that cooperative before. It makes everyone deeply uneasy. At pre-dawn, the delivery boat cuts through the Atlantic at speed. 12 crew members crammed aboard in yellow overalls and goggles, 3 cat carriers lashed to the stern. Julian is at the wheel looking unreasonably satisfied. The volcano rises from the ocean ahead of them, dark, massive, threaded with fortress architecture, plasma turrets glinting along the ridgeline like teeth. Davis's forged manifest passes the first checkpoint without a single question. The plasma turrets track them through the perimeter and then stand down. Kibben steps off the boat at the side dock and slips through a maintenance hatch that technically requires 3 clearance scans. He does not do 3 clearance scans. He does something with 2 fingers and a paperclip and he is simply inside. Ethan passes through 3 staff checkpoints. The guards at each one look directly at him. They do not see him. They look past him, around him, through him, and return to their posts. Ethan doesn't do anything to cause this. He simply walks. Sanskriti, watching through her earpiece relay, whispers, "He just walked through again." A pause. Is he doing something? Another pause. I don't think he knows he's doing it. The docking bay is where things get complicated. Hundreds of small yellow creatures pour in from every corridor. Minions, an absolute tide of them, incompetent and enthusiastic in equal measure. They swarm the delivery boat. One drops a crate directly onto another minion. 3 forget what they're doing and begin arguing about something in their grammatically complex gibberish. One falls into the water and immediately gets retrieved by another, who then also falls in. Dave opens a bag of chips. The sound is not loud. It should not carry above the chaos. It absolutely does. Within 6 seconds, every minion within 30 feet has frozen. Every goggled face has turned toward Dave. A beat of total silence. Then they converge. By the time the crew reaches the interior corridors, Dave has 60 devoted minions forming a loose escort around him, offering things, carrying his bag in shifts, and occasionally fighting each other over the privilege. He has not asked for any of this. He is eating chips and trying very hard not to make eye contact with anyone. Then Giselle unlatches the cat carriers. Orpheus steps out first, surveys the corridor with slow imperial authority, and sits. The nearest minion sees him, goes completely still, then drops to both knees. The gesture spreads outward like a ripple. Within 15 seconds, 40 minions are bowing. Hobo steps out second and immediately walks directly into the wall beside him. He shakes his head, looks around, and then walks into the correct direction with the confidence of a cat who has decided that never happened. 3 minions burst into tears. They appear to be moved by this. Jupiter takes 12 full seconds to exit his carrier, waddling out in his own time, completely unbothered. He walks in a slow circle, selects a minion at random, and sits directly on top of the minion's hard hat. The minion does not move. The minion will not move for the rest of the day. Jupiter falls asleep. Within minutes, the minions have constructed improvised palanquins from hard hats, supply crates, and what appears to be a repurposed filing cabinet door. The 3 cats are loaded onto these with great ceremony. The cats are then carried deeper into the fortress, and because the cats are being carried, every door they need opened gets opened. Every corridor gets cleared. The crew follows in the cat's wake and tries to look like this was the plan all along. The crew splits at the upper junction. Sanskriti and Ethan peel off to run recon through the upper levels, Sanskriti narrating layouts through her earpiece while Ethan materializes in rooms, memorizes them, and leaves. Drea and Giselle intercept a supply officer in a side corridor and begin a conversation that starts in Portuguese, pivots through Spanish and French, briefly touches Italian, and then Daniela steps around the corner and takes over entirely. 1 minute and 47 seconds later, Daniela has the full interior schematics, the cell block access code, and the supply officer's shift schedule. The supply officer isn't entirely sure what just happened. He goes back to his clipboard and feels vaguely grateful about it. Kibben reaches the cell block in under 8 minutes. He finds Hudson sitting on a very comfortable cot, eating what appears to be a legitimately good meal, watching a highlight reel of vintage arcade gameplay on a mounted screen. Hudson looks up. "Oh, thank God," he says. Then, "Do you want some of this? It's actually really good." Kibben stares at him. "We need to move." Hudson grabs his food. The horns come without warning. 3 long, dramatic brass notes that shake the floors of the entire volcano. The minions snap to attention everywhere at once. Jameson, who is filming from a catwalk above the throne room, adjusts his angle and whispers, "She's here," with the reverence of a wildlife documentarian. Jackie enters. There is no other word for it. She does not walk in, she does not arrive, she enters. Her red hair moves like it has its own dramatic intent. Her coat catches every amber light in the room. She ascends the dais steps in 4 sweeping strides and turns to face her assembled minions with the expression of a woman who has been waiting her entire life for this specific moment. The monologue begins. It is, by any objective measure, a very good monologue. Jackie paces the dais. She gestures at the vintage arcade cabinet like it is the Ark of the Covenant. She uses the word sacred 4 times. She uses the word desecration twice. She has clearly been workshopping this for 7 years, and it shows. In the back rows, 12 people in yellow overalls are watching with varying degrees of amazement. Julian has one hand pressed to his chest like he's genuinely moved. Sanskriti has her binoculars up. Jameson has never once lowered the camera. Mert is sweating. None of them have been spotted. It's going perfectly. Then Mert backs into a minion pyramid. The pyramid goes down with a sound that echoes off the obsidian walls. Every head in the room turns. Jackie's monologue stops mid-sentence. She looks at the minion pile. She looks at Mert. She looks at the 11 other strangers in overalls who are all very slowly trying to become invisible. One beat of total silence. Then Jackie says, "You," and hits the alarm. The alarm is not subtle. Red lights slam on across the entire volcano. A klaxon that sounds like it was designed by someone who had a personal grievance with eardrums fills every corridor. Above, the plasma turrets grind to life. The sound of them warming up is a low electromagnetic whine that builds in pitch and vibrates the teeth. Tractor beams snap on, locking sections of the main corridor grid. The minions respond to the emergency by running in 14 directions at once. 14. Several of those directions are not directions the corridor actually goes. The net result is a complete and total wash of yellow overalls bouncing off every available surface. It is impossible to tell if any of them have a plan. It is becoming clear that they do not. Ethan finds the plasma turret control relay in a side panel, stares at it for 4 seconds, and reroutes something. He doesn't explain what. He doesn't explain it over the earpiece either. The result becomes apparent 30 seconds later when the plasma turrets on the north side of the volcano begin targeting the plasma turrets on the south side. "Ethan," Sanskriti's voice comes over the earpiece, "did you make the turrets fight each other?" A long pause. "Yes," says Ethan. The tractor beam locking Corridor 7 is the next problem. Dave produces a device from his vest that is labeled, in his own handwriting, "Lockpick, use carefully." He presses it against the tractor beam emitter. The device makes a sound like a dial-up modem arguing with a blender. The tractor beam jams in the off position. Dave looks at it. "That's the one that sort of works," he says, satisfied. Julian is already at the docking bay getting the boat ready, and he is narrating the escape route continuously and with great enthusiasm into the open crew channel. Nobody has asked him to do this. Everyone has earpieces. They all know the route. Julian continues narrating. "Taking a left now, beautiful corridor, really good rockwork in here, volcanic stone, very classic." Kibben moves through the walls with Hudson a half step behind him. Hudson still holding his bowl of food, taking bites between corridor sprints. Kibben does not comment on this. He has decided that if Hudson can run and eat simultaneously then they are functionally fine. Jameson intercepts them at junction 4, camera still raised, and falls into step without breaking stride. "Great footage," he tells Hudson. Hudson says, "Of what?" "All of it," says Jameson. The crew converges on the central corridor in a rolling wave, overalls singed, goggles askew, Dave trailing an honor guard of panicking minions who refuse to leave him. They hit the main junction running. And then the drumbeat comes. Once, twice, 3 times, deep, resonant, wooden, rolling up through the floor of the volcano like the mountain itself remembers something. The minions go quiet. Every single one of them. The alarm is still blaring but somehow the silence underneath it is the loudest thing in the room. Then, at the base of the deepest corridor, the one that goes down, far down, past every level of the fortress, the door to the deep vault swings open by itself. Nobody is near it. Nobody touched it. It steps out. Tall, carved wood, brown and polished, grain running the length of its cylindrical body. Wide unblinking eyes. A mouth that is almost a smile, almost nothing. A wooden baseball bat resting on one shoulder. And it moves, not smoothly, not like anything alive, in sudden rigid jerks, each position appearing without transition, a puppet between frames. Tung SAHUR fills the base of the corridor and does not look at anything except, very slowly, everyone. Daniela is the first one to move, not to run, but to her earpiece. "I know what that is," she says, and her voice is the most controlled it has been all night, which is somehow worse than if she'd screamed. Tung SAHUR. Folkloric entity. No allegiance. No master. It has one rule. Hear the drumbeat 3 times, fall asleep, and you belong to it. It doesn't take prisoners. It accumulates. Jackie arrives at the throne room balcony overlooking the corridor. She has come to chase the intruders. She has come to be dramatic about it. She has come to deliver probably one more monologue. And she sees Tung SAHUR standing in her fortress. She stops. Her coat settles. Something goes out of her face that hasn't gone out since she was 22 years old. Tung tung tung. SAHUR tilts its head. One slow, jerking increment. Toward Jackie. Then it makes a sound, not words, not language, but two more wooden beats from somewhere inside it, and the meaning arrives in everyone's understanding all at once, clear and cold. It doesn't work for her. It never did. It has been using her lair, her minions, her schemes, and her petty kidnapping as an instrument. Jackie was not the predator. Jackie was the trap. Daniela's voice comes over every earpiece at the same time. It needed 13 people. Specifically, in a sealed underground space. When the drumbeat sounded, the ransom note, the timing, keeping Hudson fed and comfortable enough to sleep, none of that was Jackie. Someone needed Hudson to be taken to exactly this place at exactly this time. And Jackie, who thought she was conducting a grudge, was the mechanism. A pause. We need to move. Right now. Hudson, 2 corridors away, is already drowsy. It hits him mid-stride, the weight of it, the warm inevitable pull downward. The drumbeat has been in the stone this whole time. Kibben catches him by the elbow. Don't close your eyes. Hudson blinks. I'm fine, he says, and nearly walks into the wall the same way Hobo did, except less intentionally. Erica's voice cuts across every channel. All 13. Move. Now. And then everyone moves. Not in 14 directions, not in a rolling wave, in one direction, with the focus of people who have just been told the specific, detailed, folkloric reason they are all about to be owned by an ancient wooden entity, and have collectively decided not to allow that. Jackie hits the shark moat chamber ahead of the crew, ahead of the minion tide, ahead of everything. She is faster than she looks and she knows this fortress better than anyone. The chamber opens around her, circular, cold, transparent floor panels over dark churning water, the blue-red glow of robotic shark eyes moving in slow circuits below. She crosses fast. She is almost through. She stops. He is standing on the far side of the chamber. He has, apparently, been standing there the entire time. He is immaculately dressed, tailored suit, expensive watch, polished shoes. His head is a pig's head, flat snout, wide ears, small dark eyes that register nothing and everything simultaneously. He is holding a phone to his ear. He lowers it. He looks at Jackie. Jackie has faced superheroes. She has faced rival villains, government agencies, and once, briefly, a very angry food critic. She has monologued through all of it. She opens her mouth now. She says one word. We don't hear it. And then John Pork crosses the chamber in 4 unhurried steps. The kind of steps that contain no urgency because urgency would imply uncertainty. And that is the last thing Jackie does. John Pork straightens his jacket. He looks at the robotic sharks circling below the floor. One long, considered look, as if taking inventory of something. He puts his phone in his pocket. He walks to a section of wall that has no door handle, no panel, no marking of any kind, and exits through it. He works for no one. He answers to nothing. He leaves no explanation. The crew hits the shark moat chamber a minute later, takes exactly 2 seconds to register the situation, and keeps moving. Jameson does lower the camera briefly. Then raises it again. Some things you document. Some things you document twice. The third drumbeat hits when the crew is 40 meters from the exit corridor. It rolls up through the floor like something tectonic, vibrating the walls, rattling the pipes overhead. Hudson is completely, utterly, boneless asleep mid-stride. Kibben catches him over one shoulder. Dave is already moving, one hand in his bag, and he produces, from somewhere in the third vest pocket, a personal alarm. The kind designed for joggers. He presses it directly against Hudson's left ear and activates it. Hudson comes awake the way a person comes awake when a personal alarm goes off directly against their ear. Instantly, completely, and furious. He is upright. He is swearing. He is running. Kibben notes that this was technically more efficient than he expected and says nothing about it. The volcano has had enough. Deep in the lowest chambers, where Tung SAHUR moves through the dark in its horrible puppet frame way, the ancient rock begins to respond to something that has no name in any engineering manual. Lava cracks the deep floor in hairline seams of orange. The disrupted turret systems detonate in sequence. 1, then 3, then 7, the concussions rolling up through the mountain like a drumbeat of a different kind. The minion exodus is already in full effect. Every corridor, every dock, every emergency hatch is running yellow. The minions pour out in a single enormous tide, screaming in their complex grammatical gibberish, commandeering every available vessel at the exterior docks. Several vessels are not really vessels. One group launches on what appears to be a repurposed storage platform. This does not stop them. Nothing stops the tide. Julian's voice on the crew channel. Boat is running. Come to the secondary dock, third gate on the left, the one with the duct tape on the railing. Yes, that one, that's us. A pause. The cats are already here. Another pause. I didn't bring the cats here. They're just here. He sounds less surprised than he should. At this point, none of them are. The crew loads in full, all 13, soaked, singed, overalls in varying stages of structural integrity. Dave's honor guard minions run alongside the dock to see them off, waving. Dave waves back. He seems genuinely moved by this. Erica is counting heads. Julian has the engine at full before the last person is aboard. The boat swings wide and hits open water. Behind them, the peak of the volcano opens. Not in an eruption, something more controlled, more deliberate than that. A column of steam and smoke vents from the summit, rising into the pre-dawn sky in a single dark pillar, and then the fortress lights cut out one by one from the bottom up, like something turning off the lights as it leaves. By first light, the boat is in open water and the ocean is gold. Hudson is wrapped in someone's spare jacket, sitting against the starboard rail, eating chips, staring at nothing. He has been told, over the last 20 minutes, the complete story of what has happened. He is processing it at the speed that is available to him. He built an empire, Hudson says finally, over my arcade score. A beat. I didn't even try. I was just pressing buttons. Around him, the crew is everything simultaneously. Sanskriti is asleep against Ethan's shoulder. Ethan has not moved in case she wakes up. Drea and Giselle are arguing about something with the comfortable rhythm of people who argue for sport. Dave is inventorying his gadgets with great seriousness. Julian is telling a version of events to Mert that is already 40% more dramatic than what actually happened, and Mert is writing it down. Jameson has never stopped recording. He pans the camera slow across the boat, across the gold water, across the distant volcanic island now quiet against the horizon. He holds on that for a long moment. Then he turns the camera around and films himself, grinning huge and completely awake. Best one yet, he tells the lens, and means it entirely. Then, from somewhere behind them, not close, but not as far as it should be, one soft wooden beat. Just one, carrying across the water in the still gold morning air. Clear and resonant and patient. The kind of sound that has been making that journey for a very long time, and has no particular hurry about making it again. Hudson, mid-sentence, drifts. His eyes go to half-mast. His head tips. The chip bag crinkles quietly as his grip relaxes. He twitches, once, in his sleep. The way you twitch when something reaches for you just at the threshold of dreaming. And then he is still. Inside the volcano, in the rubble of what was the throne room, in the dark and the settling dust, something rests on the obsidian floor between the collapsed arcade cabinet and the fallen throne. A phone. Screen up. The screen lights up. It rings once, then again, then again. The name on the caller display is not readable. It rings on. The throne room gives it nothing back. Nobody answers.